Yeah, I came across this tweet the other day from the official United Nations Women Twitter account, and I had a couple of thoughts that I wanted to voice from this. It says, of all journalists killed in 2021, 11% were women, and in 2020 this was 6%. On the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, let us say out loud, stop targeting women journalists. So first of all, as a disclaimer, I just wanted to say that I'm all for feminism in its true meaning. I think all women reserve the right to equal treatment as men, and I think discrimination against women is still an issue that exists today, which should be eliminated. But I personally don't think this tweet really embodies that image at all. In fact, quite the opposite. First, by saying 11% of journalists killed are women, which of course is still massively unfortunate that any journalist has to die in the first place, they're also openly admitting that the other 89% of deaths were male. Now, any normal person would think, what the fuck? Are they saying that more male journalists should be killed to prevent more women from dying? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But from reading the replies to this tweet, I think the author wanted to give a different meaning. From what I understand, they wanted to emphasize the fact that the number of female journalists killed almost doubled within a year. Outwardly, this makes sense. It's a serious issue that twice the number of female journalists were killed. But my problem with this statement is that the number of women journalists killed in 2020 was 4 people, which increased to 6 people in 2021. Of course, I'm not saying that this is a good thing, I'm not justifying that, but if you think about this, statistically, 2 extra people killed isn't completely statistically unreasonable when compared to the size of the entire sample. Of course, if the number in 2020 was something like 1,000 women killed, which increased to like 1,800 in 2021, without much change to the male deaths, that would definitely indicate a problem. But the fact that 2 extra deaths is what caused a near doubling, well, that may be a cause of concern, I'm not ruling that out completely. It's still definitely not a statistically significant value that indicates a rise in the targeting of female journalists. Now, another argument against this point might be that journalism is a heavily male-dominated industry, such that the death ratio heavily leans towards women when compared to the female to male ratio in journalism, but that still isn't true at all. As we can see here, though most journalism is still dominated by men, not saying I agree with that, but women take up an average of 37% of journalist jobs, which is far higher than the 11% of women deaths recorded in 2021. So the conclusion from this fact is that men have a far higher chance of death in the field of journalism than women, even with the increase that they suffered between 2020 and 2021. This graph that I found on Reddit shows a 3-year moving average of male to female death ratios in journalism based on the sources cited by UNESCO, the same source used by the tweet. As you can see, there's almost an exact trend match between male and female deaths in the past quarter of a century. Let me be clear, this is a graph of a 3-year moving average, not just raw data. And also I'll be linking all of my sources used in this video in my description. Anyway, my final takeaway. My opinion is, maybe the UN should stop whinging about a 2% increase in female deaths in journalism, but instead start focusing on reducing the number of journalist deaths as a whole, not actively encouraging more men to be killed. I think this tweet was written by an entirely single-minded, ego-fueled individual who has no intentions on achieving a truly equal world, but instead takes the meaning of kill all men way too literally. Maybe this tweet doesn't say that directly, but what other meaning can we draw from this? A lower female death percentage that is already lower than the percentage of women in journalism screams nothing but wanting more men to be killed than women. Yeah, that's just it. Anyway, that was my short rant. Thank you for watching this shit. I'll see you guys later.